outside of Jeff Selig's office at Overdrive Interactive. I'm here to talk to him about the Google quality updates, the core updates, EAT, YML. Should be a fun conversation. Go on in now. This video is sponsored by RankRanger, an all-in-one SEO platform that offers dozens of customizable tools and reports. Check them out at rankranger.com. Hey, Jeff. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Barry.
Thanks for having me at your awesome offices. So
Thanks.
really, you drive up here, there's like some artistic type of thing going on. Like, I'm not sure which way you are.
We got the band practice space over here. We got the skateboard park over there. We got the New Balance new building over here.
And it's just 5 minutes outside of like Maine, the city.
We are Alston and it's Hipsterville. I don't have enough mustache wax to actually be in this zip code.
All right, so can you tell people watching who you are?
Sure, my name's Jeff Selig. I am the VP of Earned Media and Analytics here at Overdrive Interactive, and that encompasses not only SEO, but also social media as well.
Cool, and when did you first get into this whole digital marketing, SEO, SEM space?
Sure, so I had a publishing company, and in 1995, I bought my first domain and created a website, and I have a programming background, so the whole LAMP kind of platform, kind of getting into it, and I was fascinated by it in driving traffic, and then I kind of saw how domain names were virtual real estate. And just like a Lay's potato chip, you can't eat just one, so I bought another domain, and at the height of my domain portfolio, I had about 3,000 of them.
Wow.
And in the old days, you could buy a domain name, and exact match domain names played very well. And you could do what was called parking, and you could buy the domain name and then just point the DNS to a parking company like Cedo, who I still use. And you would get revenue from the paid ad clicks that people came and kind of redirected you to where they wanted to go. That, after a while, kind of played itself out. And from an investment standpoint, the only way to actually make money was to develop the properties. So then I started coding and started to build websites to try to increase the value, and got into the AdSense program and started to recognize revenue from that. But the revenue from the AdSense wasn't actually amazing. So that's when I started to get into affiliate marketing. So I was doing leads for mesothelioma. I was selling VWs. Anything, I had, again, with that many domain names, you can imagine. And so it was interesting to kind of see the nascent periods of SEO and how it grew. I spent 2 years cloaking. It works up to a point. But I've literally tried everything. And I look at the domain portfolio that I have now, which is maybe 10% of what I used to have, as kind of my laboratory and my experiments to see what does work, what doesn't work, be able to call BS on a few theories, right. But really to deeply understand how the engines look at your website, and more importantly, how the users interact with the website. So even today, some things that were considered white hat 5-10 years ago are right. No longer viable. So it's really been a fabulous education.
It's amazing how far the industry has come, which in the result has kind of helped the web mature as well with it. I mean, if you think about it, Google's algorithms on some level have kind of shifted the web to where it has to be in terms of being a good user experience for users. So back in the day, like you were saying, domain parking, people were literally landing on websites from search, going to a park domain, showing ads, and going around in circles. Arbitrage, same thing, circles and circles. Then I think the major thing with Florida came out in 2003. That kind of required you to do more stuff with your affiliate. I guess timeline-wise, am I on sync with it? Affiliates, right. You started to build out your affiliate sites probably around Florida time.
Exactly.
And then Panda came out, and you really had to spend a significant amount of money to make a website work well. And then
yep.
We have these core updates, which completely changed the space.
And it was a platform thing too, right? Because you were hand coding and putting things in HTML, and then WordPress came on the scene. Yeah. As from a CMS standpoint, right. Which kind of had a lot of things baked into it. So I think I built 26 websites in a weekend.
Right. You can't do that. I mean, maybe you can't do that these days and do well in Google anymore.
No.
It's a totally different space. It's like you actually have to spend time energy and do really good content, really good websites, which kind of stinks, but it's good for it stinks for us, but it's really good for the ecosystem. I think it's much
For sure.
better. And as we are now talking about like these core updates, a lot of SEOs are talking about EAT, and the YMYL section, stuff like that. Obviously, I assume your agency has worked a lot in that category. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do there?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't chase algorithms here. Even though I learned a lot and I played a lot on my personal domains and websites. Our concept has always been to give the user what they want, and part of that is deep authoritative content. And there's marketing kind of content. There's the data sheet level kind of content. There's the technical aspect. We do a lot of tech B2B here, a lot of healthcare here. And so those aren't necessarily kind of the shopper experience where it's just here's a pretty picture of shoes and they look good, let's buy it. There's a lot more research that goes into it. The buying cycle is longer, and so you have to kind of address each of those constituents within the buyer's journey. Right? You have to, there's the committee to begin with, and then it finally goes to the one individual that signs the paperwork, but they're kind of informing those people along the way.
Does this concept of EAT, you do agree with this whole concept of EAT, that's what SEOs and I guess content producers should be really focusing on?
I think it's a large percentage of what you should be delivering value. And I think the whole concept of the funnel is misconstrued, because when we look at like asset type consumption and where people are in the funnel, you actually need to also flip that funnel. So it's also the post buying where you're looking, in like the community section, like, okay, how do I integrate this now? I bought it, like who does this? And so you kind of have to have the full stream up to the sale and beyond.
Do all industries, niches need to have that level of content, or it's really focused on health, medical?
Have you changed your printer cartridge? So you bought the printer, but then it's like, okay, the consumables are out, and now you need to go figure out how to load the cartridge in, or paper jam or something. I think people are way more savvy in terms of being in an online experience versus a brick and mortar, and so I think you need that breadth of content to really take care of everybody throughout their entire experience.
John Mueller from Google recently said like experts need to be writing that content, or at least need to be reviewing that content. Is that what you guys do here in terms of making sure content for your clients is either reviewed by an expert, like you actually have a doctor, maybe you have a heart surgeon reviewing the heart surgery related or health issues?
When you can get them. Look, everybody's got their day jobs. A lot of times what we find is, even like what you're doing here, we kind of had a discussion before we're having this discussion. We'll sit in a room with a CEO or a doctor or whatever, and you pepper them with questions and get as much in as you can, and then you kind of edit it after the fact.
Right.
So even conference level notes where they're going to present something because there was a clinical trial or something like that, even taking those types of things. So in essence, now you're kind of doing the on-site aspect of it, and kind of following people around to try to get a snippet of their time and their insights.
So you do the best with what you can.
Do the best with what we can.
Let's move on to international SEO. It's been a pretty hot topic for the past several years, mostly because I think it's like everything starts in English in the US, and people are like, oh wow, if this is working so well in the US, there's a whole untapped market over there. When did your clients come to you and say, hey, we want to go multilingual with our websites? Is there a certain point?
Yeah, so we have a good chunk of our clientele is called the Fortune 1000, 2000. So they're multinational in some respects. I think a lot of times people come to us with a setup already, whether they've got CCTLDs or they have subdomains or they have some combination thereof. Or one country will go rogue and take their budget and decide to go off and do something else. So it's very interesting to see how people are setting, and I don't think there's a one size fits all, but I find like certain aspects of international very interesting in how people think about it, because when you start going into these other countries, like we just got through building a site in China for a client. So Baidu was what we had to deal with. And there's different constraints around that and different aspects of SEO than Google.
Right.
Same thing with Naver and Yandex. So we get shunned a lot because we'll say, well, you should use the meta keyword tag. Well, Yandex and Baidu, they use it.
Right.
And so people would be like, well, you're not supposed to do it. Google doesn't do it. It's like, right, but we're not talking about Google.
Right.
We're talking about other search engines now that actually still utilize it. So we need to kind of factor that into the strategy. hreflang tags versus HTML language tags,
Right.
kind of factoring those things in. So everybody's kind of got a little bit of a different setup,
Right.
but we try to factor all that in.
And so you're but in terms of the clients that come to you, it's all just known that these clients are telling you we want to go multinational in terms of our websites, or you're saying, wait, you're not doing this, you need to really get here.
If we see in some cases it's where they're opening offices, and then they have to start into the translation mode. It's like, oh, well, we just opened an office in Germany and now we're seeing a ton of traffic come in. And so it's like, okay, now's probably a good time to do that. And that's part of the analytics aspect. So it's part of advising them how they should do it and when they should do it. It's also them coming to us like, we don't know what to do. We have a biomedical firm as an example, and they've got multiple sites that now it's unwieldy.
They have their own legal issues.
There's legal issues,
language.
right? So half of it's translated, but they can't track it all, they can't manage it all, they can't update it all, and so we're trying to consolidate the workflows.
In abstract, in terms of international SEO, what would be like the top 2 or 3 biggest challenges that you face?
I think the keywords are really difficult going into it. Part of our research at the onset of an engagement is kind of, well, what should we be focusing on in this country? And when you get into certain technical aspects, it's really interesting to see it's not all like in German. It's like this concatenation of like an English term with the German end part or Japanese kind of, it's not all just...
Searchers are using multiple languages in one query to search sometimes?
Yeah, because if it's
you have a technical term with the use of it inside.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And often, I guess, do you see there's a return on investment when you invest in this international SEO?
Absolutely. So and this is the other thing about setting up the sites for success. So, we were talking about other search engines before. So, Google, we find that, especially if you're going to bring the multi-language, multi-country aspect in on a website to set up, Google Search Console accounts for that country with that sitemap and kind of parse it out. I know it kind of starts to split things up a little bit, but it also plays significantly so that you can see performance and any indexing issues specific to that country. So it's worthwhile going granular.
Awesome. I appreciate this. Thank you.
Where
can people learn more about you and the company here?
Sure. Overdrive Interactive, ovrdrv.com. Love to hear from you. We do paid search, social, organic search, paid media, and obviously content development.
And no spamming.
We do not do anything black hat, just strictly white hat.
Got it. Cool. Anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Barry, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
So that was my meeting with Jeff Selig from Overdrive Interactive. Awesome team there. Really cool SEO team. Really a full suite digital marketing agency. Really cool offices. They actually named their conference rooms with Google, Yahoo, Bing, and different search engines, which is pretty cool. And they also make their own beer, which is very, very interesting. In any event, hope you like that content. More to come. Thanks for tuning in.